Hi YouTubers, this is Trace. Get ready as I try to simplify our next multi-bagger in clearpoint neuro. So what exactly does clearpoint neuro do? Well, clearpoint neuro serves as a platform to help surgeons perform minimally invasive surgical procedures in the brain under direct intraoperative MRI guidance. What the heck does that mean, you're asking? Well, let me try to simplify using an analogy. Imagine you have Bob in one car and Ted in another car. They are both trying to deliver meals to the same person. Bob, on one hand, has a smartphone with live maps loaded. Ted, on the other hand, has to rely on a paper map. So guess who's going to get there more accurately in quicker time? Bob, of course. If there's traffic, if he gets lost, if he has to make a wrong turn and you do a U-turn, Bob has a smartphone with those real-time maps to tell him when to do that, so he can adjust in real time. While Ted, if he gets lost, he has to stop, look at his map, and figure out how to get back on the right track. And what if there are roadblocks or road construction? He has no idea how to do a detour. So you can see Bob has a clear advantage because he has a real-time image of where he's trying to go and if there are any roadblocks. And that's analogous to what clearpoint neuro does compared to the traditional surgical procedures you would do. They provide surgeons with real-time images of the brain so they can have the proper placement and proper destination to get to. In the traditional sense, you will have to take an MRI first, confirm the placement, take another MRI to make sure you're going in the right way. One big advantage of all of this is that you don't have to even move the patient if you're using clearpoint neuro, so the patient can continue to be asleep under GA. In the traditional surgical procedures, they would have to stop and take an MRI, so the patient would have to be awake to go get that picture taken. So let's dive a little bit deeper into how the company makes money. So the company is built upon 4 pillars. The first pillar is called functional neuro navigation. Next one's therapeutics. And the next one is biologics and drug delivery. And then finally, expansion, global scale. So let's talk about the functional neuro portion first. Using that similar analogy we just talked about, giving the surgeons a real-time image of the brain, in this analogy, a real-time map of the brain is an absolute game changer. Surgeons can stop on a dime to make sure they're going the right way and they're reaching the destination perfectly. Saves time and very accurate. So let's talk about the therapeutics pillar. Mainly using lasers to ablate tumors to treat epilepsy. Furthermore, they're working on their own complete laser that will absolutely, possibly double their revenue. Finally, the other pillar would be the biologics and drug delivery pillar. And that's where different drug companies are using clearpoint neuro's technology to start doing trials. One of the main benefits of that is that in the old days, lots of the medications that were delivered to the brain would just be coated around the whole brain because they couldn't really see where they could deliver that drug. Now, with this real-time image of the brain, they can deliver the drugs with pinpoint accuracy to the portion of the brain that most likely affects the diseases. So how big can this company get? Well, looking at their investor presentation that they set out a few weeks ago, you can see their total addressable market is 1 billion plus. With the current market cap of the company around 400 to 500 million, they still have a lot of room to grow. And in fact, I think their total addressable market could be a lot bigger. Definitely with all of these drugs companies coming on board, with any of their trials that get approved by FDA, it can only increase their revenue even more. So let's recap. You got surgeons using clearpoint neuro's navigation to do deep brain stimulation for Parkinson's. You got them using lasers to ablate tumors to treat epilepsy, growing the therapeutics pillar. You got 20 to 25 drug companies and it's growing. More are using their technology to complete their trials in hopes of getting future FDA approval. All of this is because they are allowing surgeons to have a real-time image of the brain, a real-time mapping navigation system. Well, that was just a quick simplification of ClearPoint Neuro. Hopefully I got your interest perking up and that you do more of your own research to figure out if this is a company you would like to invest in. So let's go ahead and just play around with some numbers and see what we get here. So here's a chart the company released a few weeks ago. It includes their preliminary numbers as well, so we're going to work off of that. So we can see in 2018 they had 670 total cases, while in 2019 they had 801 cases. This amounts to about a 20% growth in cases. And then COVID happened in 2020 and the case level dropped dramatically down to 682. So we're going to assume some things and see if we can kind of get some numbers, kind of just do a little guessing, and then we'll see based on what the company says during their earnings call if our numbers correlate to theirs. But let's say we continue to have a 20% growth rate and we start off with that 801 number of cases in 2019. So in 2021, if there's a 20% increase, we'll end up in about 961 total cases in 2021. Now I'm going to assume there's a possible backlog carryover from 2020 because of COVID, and now that hospitals have that restriction taken off, I'm going to assume that there's a backlog of around 119. I got that number from 801 minus 682. So let's say a carryover 119 plus that 20% growth rate we'll get from 961 will get you to around 1,080 cases that I'm expecting in 2021. And then using their Q3 numbers, they did 200 cases for about 1.8 million. So the average is out about 9,000 a case. So with 9,000 case, doing 1,080 cases, that will give you about 9.7 million in the functional neurosurgery category. And we look at the capital and software with their expansion in Europe, and then hospitals picking up with more purchases in the fourth quarter. I backed out the numbers and it looked like the fourth quarter numbers might be around 700,000 in capital purchases. Compared to the first 3 quarters of 2020, it would be around like 780. So definitely hospitals are picking up more purchases of the ClearPoint Neuro system. So I'm going to roughly estimate about 30% growth here. That will give it about 1.95 million in that category for 2021. And then the biologics and drug delivery, I'm going to go ahead and be a little bit on the conservative side. It did double from 2019 to 2020, but I want to give it a 5.2 million guidance on my side, just because I don't know what the other drug companies that have in the pipeline, and I just want that to be kind of like the surprise pillar, which I think will be a big surprise in 2021. So overall, that gives me a total of about 16.85 million for 2021. That amounts to about a 30% growth rate, which I think is conservative because there are a couple other bullish things that could happen. Like I said, the biologics division could have more drug companies added on. PTC's AADC drug might get approved, and they already noted that they might have possible 300 cases that could be added on. And also, ClearPoint Neuro's complete laser solution might be coming on board. And I think that might be coming aboard sooner rather than later. Something I noticed in their prelim numbers is that they said that they did 175 cases, and if I backed out the numbers for the 6.3, you can see on the chart 6.3 they did in 2020, that gives me about 1.8 million in Q4 with 175 cases. While in Q3 they did 200 cases at 1.8 million. So their average case cost has gone up. So something might have changed, and that's something I hope they give more color on their earnings conference call coming up soon. Hopefully they added some lasers. But in any case, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, please hit the subscribe button, like it. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a financial analyst. I'm just playing with the numbers. So hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.